Have you ever had someone who couldn't get over you, but you didn't even give them a second thought? You see, there's something magical that happens when you show up as your true self. Some people won't get over it, and they might just miss you in ways they can't even explain. Remember that friend who ghosted you, thinking they could replace your energy? Fast forward a few months, they're suddenly liking all your posts and sliding into your DMs. Why? Because you were the real deal, and now they feel the void you left. Sometimes people believe that by walking away they are teaching you a lesson or proving a point, but they fail to realize that your energy is irreplaceable. They think time and distance will erase the significance you held in their lives, but what happens instead? Time makes them realize just how much they took you for granted. They start to feel that emptiness growing inside, and it's because they've lost something unique: your presence. While they may try to fill that space with other people or distractions, nothing and no one compares. It's important to remember that their inability to let go isn't your responsibility. Just because they miss you doesn't mean you owe them anything. You don't have to reopen doors that were closed for a reason. People will miss you deeply, not because they cared for you deeply at the time, but because they didn't realize the depth of what you were offering until it was gone. Your absence forces them to see what they were blind to before, and that's part of their growth, not yours. We've all had that person, right? That one who thinks they're going to find a better version of what you brought to the table. They disappear without explanation, ghosting you like they can just replace the connection, the energy, the essence you gave them. They don't realize that you aren't replaceable, so months later when they see that new person or thing they ran to isn't filling the void, they come crawling back. Suddenly they're reappearing on your social media, leaving comments, liking your posts. But why? Because you were the real deal, and now that you're gone they feel it, deeply. The thing is, people often don't understand what they've got until it's gone. They thought they could find a cheap imitation of your energy somewhere else, but now they're realizing how wrong they were. It's not just that they miss you, they miss the uniqueness of you. No one can bring that exact vibe you offered, the authenticity, the genuine care, the realness. So, while they're left scrambling trying to fill the void, you've already moved on. You knew from the start that they didn't appreciate what you brought to the table. Let's be clear. This isn't about ego. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone. It's about knowing your worth and recognizing that you were the one keeping that connection alive. You gave it your all. You were all in. There was no holding back from your side, no second guessing. And when you give 100%, there's nothing left to regret, nothing left to miss. That's why when they try to reconnect, when they slide into your DMs or start liking your posts, you don't feel the same pull. You're not sitting there thinking about the what-ifs or reminiscing about the good times. Why? Because you already gave your best. There's nothing left unfinished on your side. You walked away from that connection fully satisfied that you did your part. Now, on the other hand, they're feeling it. They're haunted by what they didn't do, what they didn't give. They're left wondering why they feel so empty, why they miss you so much. It's because they held back. They kept something from you, something that you were giving freely, and now they're realizing just how much you meant to them. But for you, it's different. You're not burdened by that same emptiness. You don't feel like something's missing because in truth, you were whole all along. You didn't need them to complete you. You were already complete. And that's the real power. When you're authentic, when you give your all from the start, there's nothing left to mourn when the relationship ends. You walk away with a light heart, knowing you did everything you could. The truth is, they miss you because they never got to the place where they could fully appreciate what you gave. But you don't miss them because for you, it wasn't about them in the first place. It was about being true to yourself. You did that. You showed up as the real deal. Now it's their turn to sit with the absence of what you offered while you're already looking forward, free and unburdened. Think about that time you helped someone through a tough situation. Maybe you lent an ear, gave advice, or even took care of them when no one else would. Now that you're not there, they're realizing they'll never find anyone else who truly shows up like you did. Your authenticity isn't just rare, it's intimidating to some. You show up fully and without pretense, while others hide behind masks. And when they're faced with someone like you who refuses to play those same games, it forces them to question themselves. They may admire you for your realness, but they also fear it. It reveals their own insecurities, their own lack of depth. People want what you have, but they're not always ready to handle it. That's why, over time, you'll notice that some people drift away. They might not even know why they're doing it, but it's because being around you reminds them of the parts of themselves they've been avoiding. Your light is bright, and it can make others uncomfortable because it shines a spotlight on their shadows. And while that's not your fault, it can feel like a burden at times. But know this, it's not your responsibility to dim your light just to make others comfortable. Think back to a time when you were the one who showed up for someone when no one else did. You lent a hand, gave your time, offered advice, or simply sat there with them when things were tough. You didn't do it for recognition. You didn't do it for praise. You did it because that's who you are. You show up for people. And now that you've pulled back, they're starting to realize just how rare that is. They might not have said it then, but they knew. Deep down, they knew there was something special about you. The way you poured your energy into them without asking for anything in return. The way you held space for them when they needed it most. That's not something everyone does, and they're realizing it now that you're no longer there. They're realizing that no one else will ever show up for them the way you did. But here's the thing, being authentic comes with a weight. It's a blessing and a burden. Yes, people love your realness. They're drawn to it like moths to a flame. But at the same time, it's intimidating to them. Your authenticity forces them to confront their own lack of realness. It holds up a mirror to their insecurities, and not everyone is ready for that reflection. They love you for it, but they also fear it. They want to be close to you, but they can't handle the intensity of what you bring. That's why, over time, they start to pull away. They start to resent the very thing that attracted them to you in the first place, your authenticity. Because it's easier to walk away from you than to face the parts of themselves they've been avoiding. It's easier to label you as too much than to admit they're not ready to rise to your level. But you, chosen one, you know the truth. Their reaction to your authenticity is a reflection of their own inner struggles, not yours. You keep being real, keep showing up as you are because that's your power, that's your gift. And while it may be overwhelming for others, it's exactly what makes you irreplaceable. And here's the deeper truth. Your authenticity makes people uncomfortable, but it also makes them better. It forces them to grow, to look at themselves in ways they never have before. Whether they like it or not, being in your presence elevates them. That's the weight you carry, the power to lift others simply by being yourself. And while some people will run from that, others will rise to meet it. So yes, being authentic can be heavy. It can come with burdens and challenges. But don't ever let that stop you, because in the end, the world needs more of you, your realness, your truth, your unfiltered energy. And while some may resent it, others will be transformed by it. You ever notice how when you walk away from a toxic situation, you don't feel sad, you feel lighter? That's because you were carrying all the weight of the relationship. Now that you've left, it's their burden to deal with, not yours. What's more powerful than walking away from a situation that no longer serves you? It's the realization that you were the source of the energy, the love, and the life in that connection all along. People don't always understand the weight you carry in relationships until you're no longer there to carry it. And that's the thing. They thought they were the anchor, but it was always you. You were the one grounding everything, holding it all together, and once you leave, they're left to deal with the chaos they never realized was there. But here's where it gets even deeper. When you walk away, you're not just freeing yourself, you're giving them an opportunity to step into their own power. You're no longer enabling their inability to grow. Sometimes your departure is the catalyst they need to finally take responsibility for their own energy. Whether they realize that or not is up to them, but for you, walking away is an act of liberation, not just for yourself, but for them too. There's this misconception that when a relationship ends, both sides should feel sad, should grieve the loss equally. But that's not always true, is it? Sometimes when you walk away, you don't feel the heaviness of loss. You feel relief. You feel lighter, freer, like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. And that's because you were the one carrying the relationship all along. You were the one bringing the energy, the love, the support. You were the one who kept things going when they felt stagnant. And when you finally decide to leave, what you're really doing is putting down a burden that was never yours to carry in the first place. That's why you don't miss them. That's why you don't feel that same sense of loss. Because you've been giving all along, and now you're just reclaiming what's yours. Your energy, your time, your peace. It's not that you're heartless. It's not that you don't care. It's that you've been giving for so long that there's nothing left for you to hold on to. You've already given everything you had. There's no reason for you to feel sad or empty because, in truth, you were never the one lacking. You were whole when you came into that relationship, and you're whole now that you've left. The other person, though, they're the ones who feel the void. They're the ones who realize too late what they lost. Because while you were giving, they were taking. While you were pouring into them, they were sitting back, letting it all happen. And now that you've gone, they're left with nothing but the emptiness they've created for themselves. And here's the real truth. You don't miss people because you were the one bringing the energy. They weren't giving you anything you didn't already have. They were merely reflecting back parts of yourself. So when you walk away, there's no loss for you, only gain. You're reclaiming your energy, your peace, your time. And let's be honest, walking away from something toxic doesn't feel like a loss. It feels like freedom. It's like stepping out of a storm into clear skies. You can finally breathe again. You can finally move forward without the weight of someone else's issues dragging you down. That's why you don't miss them, because you never needed them to begin with. You were always whole on your own. So when they come back, when they try to reconnect, when they try to make you feel guilty for leaving, remember this. You don't owe them your energy. You don't owe them your time. They had their chance and they didn't appreciate it. Now it's their burden to bear, not yours. Maybe you've cut off someone who did you wrong, a family member, a friend, a partner. While cutting them off was necessary for your peace, don't hold on to that bitterness. Forgive, not for them, but so you can stay open to your blessings. Forgiveness is such a misunderstood concept. People often think that forgiving someone means inviting them back into your life or excusing their behavior. But Spirit wants you to know that forgiveness is about you. It's about freeing your energy from the chains of resentment. Resentment is heavy, it's toxic, and it creates blockages that prevent you from receiving the abundance Spirit has lined up for you. When you forgive, you're not saying what they did was okay. You're saying that you refuse to let their actions keep you stuck in a lower vibration. Think of forgiveness as a release. Imagine yourself walking down a path, holding on to heavy bags filled with anger, hurt, and disappointment. Those bags slow you down, making it harder for you to reach your destination. Now imagine setting them down, leaving them behind, and continuing your journey with lightness and freedom. That's what forgiveness does for your spirit. It allows you to move forward without the weight of the past dragging you down. Boundaries are essential, chosen ones. Spirit wants me to remind you of this, especially as we move into a new year filled with opportunities for growth and expansion. But here's the thing. Boundaries aren't about building walls so high that no one can reach you. They're about protecting your energy without closing off your heart. And while cutting people off might feel necessary sometimes, holding on to resentment will only block the blessings Spirit is trying to send your way. Think about a time when someone wronged you. Maybe it was a family member, a close friend, or even a partner. They betrayed your trust, disrespected your energy, and you knew you had to cut them off for your own peace. That was the right decision, and Spirit applauds you for taking that step. But here's the next step. Don't hold on to that anger, that bitterness. It's like carrying a heavy stone in your heart, and it's only weighing you down. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself. It's about releasing that energy so you can make room for something better. Spirit wants you to stay open, to stay aligned with the abundance that's waiting for you. And that can't happen if you're holding on to old wounds. It's easy to think that by holding on to anger, you're somehow punishing the person who wronged you. But in reality, the only person suffering is you. They've moved on, or maybe they haven't. But that's not your concern. Your focus should be on your growth, your healing, your blessings. And that means letting go of the anger and forgiving, not for them, but for you. So, Spirit's message is clear. Boundaries are crucial. But don't let those boundaries turn into walls that block the flow of love and abundance. Keep your heart open, even to those who have wronged you. Forgive them, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve the peace that comes with it. And remember, forgiveness doesn't mean inviting them back into your life. It doesn't mean dropping your boundaries. It means releasing the hold their actions have on your spirit. It means allowing yourself to move forward, free and unburdened. Spirit is sending you blessings, chosen ones, but you've got to create space for them to land. You ever notice how people try to replace you with someone new, but it never works? They end up dating or befriending someone who's a shallow version of you, only to realize later that there's no comparison. That's because you were the real deal, and the energy you gave can't be replicated. People love to convince themselves that they can just find another you, that there's some endless supply of people like you out there. They think they can just swap you out for someone else when things get tough, or when they don't want to confront their own issues. But what they fail to understand is that authenticity is rare. Realness can't be duplicated, and the energy you brought to the table can't be replicated by just anyone. They'll try, though. They'll bring someone new into their lives, thinking they found another version of you, only to be sorely disappointed when that person falls short. You see, they don't realize what they had until it's gone. They don't realize that the connection you created with them was unique because of the energy you invested, the love you gave, and the realness you brought. It wasn't something that could be found just anywhere. And now, as they try to fill that void, they're faced with the harsh truth. They can't replace you because you're irreplaceable. It's funny, isn't it? How people think they can just find another you, like you're some kind of product on a shelf. They think they can swap you out for someone new, someone who looks or acts like you on the surface. But what they don't realize is that you can't be replaced. Your energy, your essence, your authenticity, it's one of a kind. And that's why, no matter how hard they try, they always come up short. They think they've moved on, that they've found someone who can take your place. But soon enough they realize that what they've got is a shallow version of the real thing. The person they're with now, they might look the part, they might act the part, but they don't have your depth, they don't have your authenticity. And that's something that can't be faked. You see, people don't realize the value of realness until they're faced with its absence. They thought they could find another you, but now they're starting to understand just how rare you are. The energy you gave them, the love, the support, the realness, it can't be replicated. It was unique to you, and now that it's gone, they're left feeling the loss in ways they can't even put into words. And here's the thing. While they're out there searching for someone who can match your energy, you've already moved on. You're not waiting around for them to realize your worth. You knew your value all along, and you've taken that energy elsewhere, to places and people who appreciate it. So when they try to come back, when they try to rekindle what they lost, you don't feel the same pull. You don't feel that same need to reconnect because you've grown, you've evolved. You've realized that your energy is too valuable to waste on people who didn't appreciate it the first time around. And while they're left missing you, missing the energy that only you could bring, you're already focused on your next chapter. You're not stuck in the past, wondering what could have been. You're looking forward, ready to give your authenticity to people and situations that deserve it. Because here's the truth. You're irreplaceable. And no matter how hard they try, they'll never find another you. Your energy is too rare, too valuable, too real to be duplicated. And while they're stuck trying to fill the void, you're out there living your best life, knowing that you were always the real deal.